everyone, it's Jody here, your Wednesday host for FTRealM. I hope everyone's having a good day. Hope you're having a good week. Happy holidays. I'm including Hanukkah, Christmas, Kwanzaa, and the New Year coming at you here. And so I'm going to jump into this week's topic because this video was quite long the last time I filmed it. So I'm going to try and get things out there a little bit sooner. And so this week's topic is the difficulties in dating or finding a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And so I'm not really going to give you my dating history. If you want to know about that, I'll give you the most recent information. If you want to know more about like pre-T stuff or like kind of as soon as I came out, definitely hit me up and we'll have that discussion down below, like in the comments or via email. And so let's see. A few years ago, I dated a girl that knew that I was trans. The reason why she knew that information, I told her, but it came about a lot sooner because we had actually known each other in high school. We actually played soccer together. And so once we started reconnecting and re-talking and hanging out and, you know, sexual things started coming up a bit more, I disclosed that information. And she was cool with it. We didn't break up because she was trans. We broke up mainly because she couldn't decide between either leaving her husband and being with me or being with her husband. It was like this back and forth game, and it was just a huge mess that I just had to get out of. So it wasn't any good, had nothing to do with me being trans. And so my last relationship that ended about a year ago, pretty much a year ago, next month, we had a really good relationship in the beginning, and then our communication just fell apart, and what was going on inside of our minds, we just weren't communicating it properly to each other when we thought that we were communicating these things. And so she thought that it was best that she end it and pretty much blame me for everything. And I took on that, which I felt was pretty mature and very immature of her, but, you know, shit happens. And we did try to reconnect and rework things, and kind of the same stuff happened again. But it had nothing really to do with me being trans on why these things, like why it just ended. And so I haven't had actually a really bad experience with being trans and dating my last couple of relationships. Over the summer, I did try to do a hookup situation with somebody that didn't know I was trans, and we kind of had talked about she thought I was good looking, blah, 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 and then I told her that she probably needed to look through some of my social media and tell me what she found out, because she was just kind of off in la-la land and really spacey and didn't really know anything about anything. And I was like, okay, let's see if she'll pick up on this kind of thing. And so then she told me that she discovered that I was trans and that she was totally cool with it. And then she literally wanted me to break down my sex life Barney style, and I just wasn't okay with that. And so nothing ended up happening with this girl, and I just cut all ties off because I was like, I understand that it's a very unique situation, but I feel that asking me every little question on how we were going to have sex was just really inappropriate, when it's like, okay, you know my body, you know that I have sex as a man, like, let's connect these dots. And it was literally like every little step of the way what was going to happen if we had sex had to be disclosed to her, and I just couldn't handle it. And so that was my own personal thing, and so I need somebody that has a little bit knowledge of the community, and so that's what I'm really looking for. And I don't disclose right away in my relationships. I feel that if it goes from, like, you know, if it's pretty serious, then I have like what I tell my friends is I put them through a test. I put these ladies in my life through a test. And it's not like it's a test. We have a conversation, either sitting down in person or via phone, like either voice or text messaging. And I ask them, okay, how do you feel about the LGBTQ community if I, you know, hadn't seen them at the gay bar, or if the kind of LGBTQ situation has come up, you know, I'll kind of skip that question. And then eventually we'll lead around to, what do you know about the trans community? Do you know what trans is? Do you know what transgender is? Would you consider dating somebody that's trans? And depending on the answers to these questions and how comfortable I feel, I'll either disclose that information quickly, like later in that conversation, or I'll wait a day or two to kind of figure out how I feel about those answers and what's going to be the safest for me to disclose that information, and to take into consideration her feelings as well, because I mean, it could be a new situation. She could be really into me, and then this could be like mind-blowing information. And so I want to be able to create some positive space there. And so currently right now, I am talking to a girl. Not sure where it's going. We're enjoying each other's company. I'm pretty sure there's an interest more than just a friendship, but we haven't really talked that long, so I'm just trying to enjoy it for what it is currently and kind of see how it goes. And I did meet her off of Tinder. Dating in the city that I live in is really difficult. Either everyone knows everybody, and so typically the people I find attractive, some of my friends have already either dated or hooked up with, and that just kind of weirds me out. And so they're like, it's totally cool. And I'm like, it's cool with you, but it's not cool with me. Like, it kind of weirds me out. And so I got online, and then I also started going to other spaces with one of my really good straight guy friends, and that just didn't pan out because I really needed to build my self-confidence and realize that if I get rejected by putting myself out there, I'm not going to have an emotional breakdown. It's not going to crush me in any way. And so I developed that over the summer, and then I got online because I just wasn't meeting the people that were striking my interest, or it just wasn't lasting that long. Like, we would talk for a little while, and then it would just end. And so the girl I'm talking to now, we met on Tinder. She's cool. She doesn't know that I'm trans currently, but as I said, we haven't been talking that long. And we have talked about, like, the LGBT community a little bit, and so I know that she's accepting of all communities, of all people, and we're just gonna kind of see how it goes. And that's my personal choice. A lot of people disclose sooner than I do. Like, some people disclose right away, and that's completely fine, and I feel that it's completely fine that if you wait to disclose. And so it just depends on how you feel and where you see things going, I think, and only you can judge that. And so with me being in this kind of limbo land, still getting to know this woman, it is what it is. And so we're just kind of talking and seeing how it goes. And so if you guys want any other information on my online endeavors, hit me up and we can have a discussion either in the comments below, or you can email us or email me via the channel, and I can get back to you specifically. And if you have any other questions, go ahead and let me know, alright? But before I cut this off, I do want to say that dating is rough regardless. Dating is rough when you're cis, dating is rough when you're trans. There's a little bit added complications. I call it a complication, but I don't really think of it as a complication. But there's an extra added piece when you're trans, and so that can be very stressful. And so dating for trans people is stressful because you have to make sure that the other person is okay with a trans individual, especially a trans man in my case. And sometimes people, you do a lot of education, I feel, at first, but that could be really a good thing, and it could pan out really well. And I don't mind educating people about trans people. What I have a problem with is educating people on, like, every little baby step of my sex life. And so, and if, like, you have questions after self-education, like, if you disclose that and they go and look up information online and they're like, okay, I found this information out, okay, that's a different conversation rather than, like, every little step of the way. Or, like, how is dating going to be different? You know, with a trans guy, and then people just sometimes want to experiment, and they think that trans people are experimentations. I've had actual people say that to me, and I'm like, I'm not an experiment. I'm not a social experiment for you to try out. Like, I'm a freaking person, and like any other person you would date. Don't be a jackass. And so, anyway, I'm cutting it off here, and I will see you guys next week. All right, peace.